Today we're tackling a critical section of the California real estate exam: commercial, industrial, and income properties. The exam will test your understanding of specialized leases, financial calculations, and key legal documents unique to these transactions. Let's start with leases. You must know the difference between a gross lease and a net lease. A triple net lease, or NNN lease, is a major exam topic. In this lease, the tenant pays for property taxes, insurance, and maintenance in addition to the rent. These three expenses are often called CAM charges, which stands for Common Area Maintenance. The exam might give you a scenario and ask who is responsible for a specific expense under a triple net lease. Another key type is the percentage lease, common in retail. The tenant pays a base rent plus a percentage of their gross sales. Expect a math question where you have to calculate the total rent based on a retailer's sales figures. For financial analysis, the capitalization rate, or cap rate, is a guaranteed topic. The formula is net operating income divided by the property value. A common exam trap is to provide the property's mortgage payment, also known as debt service. Remember, debt service is not an operating expense and should be excluded when calculating the net operating income. The exam might ask you to solve for the property value given the NOI and cap rate, so be comfortable manipulating the formula. When a commercial property is sold, the buyer needs to be sure of the existing tenant's lease terms. This is verified using an estoppel certificate. An estoppel certificate is a document signed by a tenant that confirms the details of their lease, such as rent amount and term expiration. Its purpose is to prevent the tenant from later claiming different terms after the property is sold. The exam will test you on the purpose of this document, which is to provide a clear picture of the property's financial and legal standing for a buyer or lender. Due diligence is critical for commercial and industrial properties. You need to understand the basics of zoning. A property's zoning classification dictates its permitted use, which is a primary concern for any commercial buyer. Environmental due diligence is also heavily tested. A Phase 1 environmental site assessment is the initial investigation to identify potential contamination from past uses, which could create significant liability for the new owner. Finally, the exam touches on business opportunities, which is the sale of an existing business, often including its location and goodwill. A real estate license is required to broker these transactions in California. To remember the tenant's responsibilities in a triple net lease, use this mnemonic: TIM is out. The tenant pays for taxes, insurance, and maintenance, so the landlord is out of those expenses. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.